Buon pomeriggio, Anton. Hi, how are you?
Very well, Antonio. Thanks for having me.
Oh, cool. Excellent audio coming through too. I like that. You're an important part of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in South Australia. So a very energetic entrepreneur from what I can tell. So maybe let's have a chat a little bit about the various enterprises, ventures you've started, and then we'll talk about why you've got into these areas, what's in common with them, what you're learning.
A broad range of things, but I'll start by saying I'm not that important. I'm just enthusiastic. So we do what we can.
Yeah, well, I haven't said yet, for example, you sit on the Economic Entrepreneurship Advisory Board for the state government. You're on the board of the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, Adelaide Film Festival. So that's quite a lot of work. I do a bit of board activity in not-for-profits. I know it takes up a lot of energy. But let's start with these entrepreneurial ventures. 3 companies we know of. Convergen, yeah. Let's start with that and go on to...
Okay, well, look, I'll step back a bit further because I started these companies with my brother Carlo. But back even further, where it started from is I had this tremendous nervousness about what I wanted to do. I never really knew what I wanted to do. And so started this company called Convergen many moons ago, probably about 2009, looking at animation. And a lot of people think about animation as being something for the film industry, so an animated film, but we found a place doing animation for infrastructure, so showing what buildings will look like before they're built. Everyone's seen on the news the pictures of the bridge or the tunnel or the apartment building before it's built. That's where we started, but what we found was this gave us an insight into all of these different worlds. So it's not just showing what it looks like, but it's showing how it will be built, why it will be built. We work with builders on communicating how traffic is going to move. A lot of different areas we found that engagement with complex ideas in construction and then the ability to tell a story using animation were areas that we thought, okay, this is pretty exciting. We can help here. So we've done about 800 projects now. We help with wind farms, we help with mine sites, bridges, roads, all sorts. But what it also taught us is there's all of these new industries starting to pop up. And so we started a second company, which is called Jumpgate Virtual Reality, which is a virtual reality company. So when we started that, it was a bit of a joke at the time. No one really knew what VR headsets were, but now we're doing a range of things like training the AFL umpires. We do some work with defense, but we do a lot with contemporary art.
Okay, well, let's explain a little bit. What is this VR, virtual reality?
Virtual reality is essentially, it's based around a headset, which you put on and you experientially within an environment.
So it covers your eyes as well as your ears?
Absolutely. So one of the first ones we did was, let's run through the banner with the Port Adelaide Football Club, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now it's a bit more complicated. We can do all sorts of things like show what a building is going to look like, sure, but we can also simulate different environments for training purposes. But then working with artists who are really keen to explore how they see this as a new medium for expression, for experiences. And one of the proudest ones we were involved with was with the Adelaide Symphony Orchestra, where we did the first VR symphony in the world. So essentially, we could take the concert hall through VR to people at hospitals, at aged care facilities around the state, so they could go to the concert without actually having to go to the concert. They just put a headset on and they're in the middle of the orchestra. So
you're
we have a lot of fun with that.
in this concert. So let's think about it. So I've got this headset on, and it makes me not only hear and see what it would be like if I was in the middle of the concert hall. You said, or in the middle of the orchestra.
Right in the middle of the orchestra.
So I'm sitting on the stage, looking at the stage. You're sitting on the stage, looking at the conductor. Wow.
Correct.
And that's the experience you get. How do you do that? You need the headset, clearly.
Yes. So what will happen is you sit down, you put the headset on, and then you can turn all the way around in your chair as if you're on stage as the music is playing. So it's really quite fun. It's fascinating to see people use it for the first time because it is such a new experience. But we have a good time with it.
Well, I can remember the first time I used VR was in Adelaide, actually, and it was, I think, a trip back from either Sydney or overseas. So we're talking about nearly 30 years ago, and it seemed easily 30 years ago, actually. This is before I went to INSEAD. And it's interesting, it's taken so long for it to come to fruition, even though the basics were all there. I think what's happening now is very similar to what was possible then, but that was state of the art, and it's becoming much more mainstream, which is it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's an exciting thing to be a part of. The technology is pretty good, but the technology is nothing without the experience of the story. And just because you can doesn't mean people will. So yeah, that's our second company. The third company is a film post-production company. So we do a lot of the visual effects, the music, the sound design, all of the different elements of a TV show or a film. We've just finished doing the sound on Firebite, which we shot here in South Australia. Yeah, we do that all here at Lot 14.